Hi, this is Sarah Rhodes, and this is my school plant safe school audit. I work at Fort Hays State University and absolutely proud to be a Tiger. I thought that in order to do this presentation, because I understand it's a little bit different than, say, a high school or an elementary school safe school audit, I wanted to kind of show you and walk you through some of the reasoning behind the new construction that we've had on campus, the ongoing construction that we've had, and some things that have happened in the past, just recent past here. So I'm going to be taking you through those things. One thing I can say about Fort Hays, I am so honored to work there, and I'm also honored to be a Tiger and alumni myself, graduating with my bachelor's and master's. So I've had quite a bit of time there on campus, and now, of course, working on my ed specialist degree. With that, I've had a chance to look at the buildings, but before this class, I never really had. I didn't really take into consideration the age of some of the buildings that I attended and the need for improvements. Because we have such a beautiful campus, a lot of things just didn't stand out to me. But I would like to show you some things that I find interesting about the campus and how that all ties into a safe school. This is one of the oldest buildings on campus. This is Picken Hall. It was built in 1904, so you can imagine the need for some reconstruction and a little bit of facelift on this building. I'll show you the picture of it initially or at the beginning when it was first built. And then, of course, you can compare it to the picture you're viewing now. If you're interested at all in the dedication of Picken Hall, you may go to this URL down at the bottom, this link, and you can watch a short video of the rededication of Picken Hall. This is Picken Hall in 1904. What's interesting about Fort Hays is that because it was initially, it was first a obvious Army fort when the war was over and they were trying to cut costs, the government was, they were closing down some of the forts and they felt like they no longer needed to protect the railroad anymore from Native American attacks and so on. So they started closing different forts down, and one of them was Fort Hays. And the school eventually ended up purchasing this building and turning it into what was called a normal school, which a normal school is a teaching school. And so Kansas actually got Fort Hays. It was one of the very first normal schools in the state. So we're pretty excited about that. But this again, like I was saying, is Picken Hall. And this is, of course, what it looks like now. So you can kind of see the similarities in the two buildings. But you can also imagine that since it was built in 1904, there was a great need for reconstruction in order to keep the building's integrity and to make sure that it was a safe place to work in and to attend. This is one of 4 construction projects that have been happening on campus here recently. There are 4 construction projects that, according to Dr. Kathleen Arano, who is an associate professor of economics and finance, she said that these 4 different construction projects were going to impact the state of Kansas. And it was a positive impact of over $37,903,995. It would create 394 jobs, and that equates to about $13.1 million in wages. So that's quite an economic gain for the people of Kansas and for our state. I found this information, by the way, on the Foundation, Fort Hays Foundation website, and this is where I gained these pictures from. So the 4 major construction projects were going to be this one, which is Agnew Hall. This is a picture of it being demolished, and there was 4 projects, and so Agnew Hall was one of them. And what was great and what drew so much interest in this project, not only did it cost $9.2 million for this housing, but Tiger Place facility, this is the new housing place then, will end up, when everything is finally said and done, it ends up housing over 230 beds for college students, which this is great because obvious, if you can kind of tell, the building is rather old. And if you can just kind of take out of your mind the picture of the demolition already, but if you can imagine that this building was quite old and probably not up to safety standards and what students might need and expect to have attending a nice university such as ours. Also, because of the growth of our campus, in order to sustain that growth and continue it, we needed to make sure that we had adequate housing available for our students. That was nice. So this is the reasoning behind the demolition of Agnew and the creation of Tiger Place. Here's a map of the 4 construction projects that I was referring to. You'll see a road connecting the Dwight Drive to Gustad Drive, which I'll be speaking of here in a minute. Also, the academic building to house the virtual college, CTELT, and the Department of Informatics, which I'll show you here. And I just spoke of the new student housing on Agnew Lane, and I'm going to be sharing with you the indoor sports facility here in just a moment. This is the indoor sports facility that was built, and this is a really neat building. It's called the Schmidt-Bickel Indoor Training Facility. And this was needed because, again, as I said, student growth, we have a lot more different educational programs now that we offer in the line of human health and performance. We also have a football team, soccer team, volleyball, basketball. And so in addition to that, we also open up our gym, not this particular one, but the one over by the Coliseum. We open that up to our staff and faculty members. So we needed an extra place to have our student athletes be able to work out and so on. So this is located in the southeast corner of the Fort Hays campus near the stadium. It's a 50,400 square foot facility, and it houses a weight room, a cardio room. It also has a 4-lane indoor track and a 65-yard AstroTurf kind of facility, or football field kind of, so that the football field or football players or soccer players can come in and practice. So it's very nice, but again, it's open to student athletes. This is the picture of the front of the CTELT building. That's the college for the Learning Center, Learning Technologies. And this building houses the virtual college. It also houses the Center for Teaching Excellence, like I just said. I kind of fumbled the word or the name. And it also houses the Department of Informatics. This particular building cost $10 million and was done by Paul Wurtenberger Construction. Now you might be thinking, okay, why is she showing me all of these wonderful new construction projects? Well, because there were some needs that weren't being met in our school as far as the growth according to the facilities that we had. And while growth is wonderful, it does create some problems with the buildings and the very nature and usability of these facilities that we have. Rarick Hall happens to be where I work, and I'll take you inside and kind of compare and contrast a little bit of the buildings. This is the hallway where I work, one of the hallways anyway. As you can see, it's nice and brightly lit up. Very nice place to work. It's always clean. I happen to take a picture of the janitor cart there, but you just never see any garbage. You never see anything that I can even remotely report and say, yes, this is an area for concern. I'm very proud of our building. I believe it was built in the early 80s, I do believe, and I have heard that we are now going to be having some reconstruction too, but nothing extraordinary, so it's still in very good shape. Now this is the back side of Rarick. You can see there's a bunch of junk. It looks like junk. This is actually the back side of the art building, the art wing of Rarick Hall. And so while it does look pretty shabby, there is a reason behind it. They actually do weld these things and make different projects with this kind of stuff. Again, this is also still part of the art department. Now you see the plastic chair in there. I'm not sure why that's there, but this is still kind of connected to them. Now this, if you were a passerby, you might think, oh my goodness, this is junky, but actually the recycle container was completely full, and so that's why the maintenance personnel had to put it alongside. But this is why I wanted to show you this though, because we are very recycle conscientious. We try to go green in our education department, at least in college, and so we try and keep as much as we can to recycle and so on. So that's why this was out. Now this, I did find, this was obviously a picture or a old basketball goal, picture of a basketball goal. We do have a daycare on our facility called Tiger Tots, and I'm assuming that this was left over from them. Again, this is bulk trash, so there wasn't much that we could do about it. We're just waiting for the trash to come pick it up. So, you know, a passerby might look at it and see, oh my goodness, that's so junky, but there really wasn't much we could do about it until the trash came. One concern I had about our building was this particular entrance. This is the delivery entrance. And I know that we had talked about exhaust and air quality, and this concerned me a little bit because if you look there at that gated area there where it says Rarick Hall, that is where our Tiger Tots daycare is. And the drive that you see is actually where the service people drop off, you know, for packages and so on. So any kind of maintenance, if you leave your vehicle running, all of that exhaust filters into the daycare center playground. And I didn't like that too much. And they do recognize this, the daycare does. And they're actually, I guess, expecting to get a little bit of a expansion for their play yard. So this will be nice, and maybe that would alleviate part of that. This is another picture of Rarick on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, this is Davis Hall. Davis Hall is a very good snapshot of what some of these other places like Agnew looked like. So if you can look on the left-hand side, you've got my hallway of Rarick. On the right-hand side, you have an old hallway of Davis Hall. You can tell the difference. It's looking very worn and almost like a prison, if you ask me. Pretty depressing. We had cracks along the walls, which of course we've learned in our chapter readings and so on in the videos that, you know, moisture can get locked into these cracks. It's just a breeding ground for bugs to kind of live in, and we certainly don't like that. Just the structure itself doesn't look too safe anymore. So this was the reasoning behind checking this out and then, of course, redoing these buildings. Again, you'll see the men's bathroom here. We have cracks in here, which we know that moisture can get into these, and it's just a breeding ground for bacteria and things that we sure don't want to have. And we also have pieces of the building that are breaking. The structure is just literally crumbling. So this is, again, why these buildings needed to have some construction done. So this is the outside of Davis. And the outside of Davis is eventually going to look like our CTELT building. It will look something similar to this. This is the construction that we are doing. The Paul Wartenberger construction company is going to be doing, making a lot of the buildings look like this. Quite a change. Davis is on the left, and the new CTELT building is on the right. So it'll be a nice update. And finally, this is a picture of me after an exhausting day teaching. Not really. But Fort Hays has just a beautiful campus. I can't really say that there was a lot for me to go in and audit because we really don't have a lot of really bad problems. I think that Fort Hays is very, very good on making sure that our college is the destination of choice. We want our college and university to look magnificent. And in order to do that, we have to make sure we have wonderful facilities. And we take pride in our school. So you will never come and see a dirty campus because it's just a beautiful place to be. So this was my video, and I hope that you have enjoyed it.